Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, where you can awaken your mind to clarity and success even in today's life challenges. We're here to provide insights and solutions that will help you live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hello, everybody. This is Joanne Victoria with another amazing episode of the Sanity Project podcast. You are here to discover a life of clarity, confidence, sanity, and entrepreneurial success. Our guest today is Alex Brueckmann. Alex is a strategy entrepreneur, author, and executive coach. Alex built and scaled companies in Europe and Canada and led client projects across the world, helping brands and firms transform their businesses. His areas of expertise are strategy development, leadership development, and entrepreneurship. His passion lies in helping clients build profitable businesses rooted in purpose, i.e., doing well while doing good, which is what I like. Welcome to the show, Alex Brueckmann.
Thank you very much, Joanne.
How are you today?
Glad to be here. I'm good. Thank you very much. It's totally exciting what's going on right now in my life and work, and it's firing me up. And in addition, I just returned from a little vacation with the family, which is always nice.
I saw that on your Facebook page.
Nice shots, right?
Yes, I saw all that sun. Where were you?
We were on the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico.
Yes, on the east side.
Yeah, the Caribbean Sea. Awesome. Beautiful.
Yes, very much so. Well, you've done a lot. You've attended many universities. You've written a book. You're a storyteller. You've gone to school in Germany, Uruguay, and France, as well as Harvard Business School in the good old USA. And what got you on this path?
This is a very good question, actually, because I started out in a completely different field. I'm originally a radio host, so I'm a trained radio journalist, and only later realized that there must be more than the media industry. And so I changed careers at some point in time, went back to school, studied business administration, and started out as an entrepreneur inside a company, if you want, like an intrapreneur, where you get a lot of freedom to build a new business. Shortly after that, my boss was promoted and asked me whether I would like to join him on this new assignment. And then it all spiraled from there. I first got in touch with strategy in this position, strategy development, worked a lot with external management consultancies like A.T. Kearney, McKinsey and Company, etc. So I soaked up the knowledge and later on had the opportunity to build my first company from scratch. It was technically not my company, but since we were so small, everyone in the beginning had to behave like an entrepreneur as if it were their own business, right?
Right.
So that helped me kind of entrepreneurship light, if you want. And then later built my own businesses, and I'm super happy for that, excited about it, happy and grateful for the opportunities that I had along the way to learn from some really bright minds. And you mentioned Harvard Business School. I took Professor Henderson's course, Sustainable Business Strategy, which is absolutely amazing, which encouraged me to stay on that track of helping others building impactful businesses that go beyond profit and help create impact socially and environmentally.
Yeah, I would think that everybody would want to do that.
Well, I would hope so, but unfortunately, this is not always the motive in the world of business, right?
I know.
Take a look around. There are too many companies out there that must know. I mean, companies consist of people, human beings.
Right.
And they see what they do every day. And they know whether something is right or something is maybe not entirely right. Mm-hmm. And still they continue doing it, be it taking more from the environment than is healthy. If we talk about industrial fishing or tree harvesting.
Right.
Or they have business practices in place that sometimes even include child labor, sometimes even forced labor. And they know about that. It's nothing that they can close their eyes and try to pretend that it's not there, but they know about it. Or they have supply chains in place where people work under conditions that are not healthy. But instead of doing something about it, meaning doing the right thing, helping them make a good living, having a healthy work environment, they are prioritizing profit over people. So I'm here to change that to a certain degree.
Well, I'm sure you're doing the best that you can, because I agree that, people should be people and profits, not just profits. And it can be done. People can make a lot of money for themselves in ownership of a business or partial ownership, because as time goes by, even the originator of the business doesn't wind up holding a lot of percentage of ownership of the business, because they have investors. They have other people who own portions of the business, and it's shared and whatever. But somebody has to lay the groundwork, as you're helping people do, for ethical, sustainable businesses.
Exactly.
So you're going to talk today about how entrepreneurs, and I deal with people who are almost burned out entrepreneurs, so they need to reframe the entire thing, but get their head around a strategy. What is a strategy and what is not a strategy? Why don't you give some examples to our audience of what a strategy is and what it isn't? When
we talk about people that are close to burnout, we often, when we take stock, we often realize, and they often realize, that they have prioritized everything else above their own, that they have been extremely busy, meaning just swallowing more or chewing more than they can swallow, too many projects.
Biting off more than they can chew.
Yeah, exactly that. And it's just important to understand that very often being busy is just like a bandage that helps us cover up some sort of unclarity about what really matters. And strategy is exactly that. Strategy is the written down, a formulated goal for your business and the way toward that goal. And if you are crystal clear about what you want to achieve, whom you serve, who your clients are, and what your products are or services, you can cut out 70 to 80% of busy stuff, because all of a sudden you realize that it is not furthering that cause. It is not helping you achieve that vision, that picture of the business that you want to build and how it should look like in the next 2 to 3 to 5 years, whatever your time frame is. So that is the first step that people need to understand. Strategy is an ideal picture of the future and how you reach it. If you have that in place, you benchmark everything that you do against that. And if you realize that doesn't really help me get there, this is just a side, something that keeps me busy, stop doing it. And all of a sudden, your to-do list, it doesn't get shorter, it disappears. Because you ask yourself every time, how does that help me reach the vision? How does it help me put the strategy into action? And when I do that with my clients, we start by doing something called a total project inventory. And it's absolutely insane, whether these are large corporations that I work with or smaller businesses or entrepreneurs. They often realize that most of the work, not really 30, 40%, but most of the work that they do is not actually in line with where they want to go. So it's tactical stuff. It's busy stuff. It's not strategic.
Yes.
And the moment we understand that, we free ourselves up, we free our time up to do work that really matters. And this is where you close the circle. The moment you realize that your work matters, it gives you tremendous motivation. It fulfills you. It shows your contribution. And that is motivating beyond limits. someone who's motivated beyond limits rarely burns out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm thinking too much minutia, details, things that don't matter are part of a plan, and people think it's a strategy.
Yes.
When it's something that could either be delegated to somebody else or eliminated altogether.
Yeah.
And I think the more time people can take away from the work, either in a different environment, going on vacation, going to a workshop, going to bed, reading mysteries, doing something else that takes you out of that particular loop, you'll find how much more time you have available to do the most important things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what's motivating. That's what I call working on purpose. You create the impact that you want to create. And if you work on purpose, you create that famous flow, those flow moments. If you work on flow, you can't burn out because you work like 8 hours on flow. I think I never had that before, but maybe that works. But everyone has experienced that. Hours go by and you're like, wow, where did the time go? And I'm still super energized because the work that I did was on purpose.
Yes, we waste so much time in stupid little details, tasks. Actually, it's an avoidance technique. Because many people who say they want to, either become an entrepreneur, start their own business, be more successful in their existing business, gather a group of people and create something new for the world and have it benefit the world as well as their own pockets, as well as the pockets of their employees, they're not paying attention. And this is what's truly important. They're minimizing their own skills by shoving in minutia and data that doesn't even matter. It has no value.
Yes, I agree.
So this is how you help. This is how you help companies.
Exactly. So my work is to facilitate strategy design processes. So I am not a consultant. I don't come in and tell you what I think you should do for a living. I don't tell you how you should change your product portfolio or your marketing tactics. That's not what I do. I help you understand where you want to be with your business in some time down the road. And I help you identify those work packages that are strategically relevant and will get you where you want to be. And I also help you identify how you measure that you're getting there. So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm holding the space for you in order that you can design this strategy, this business strategy, this competitive strategy based on your own creativity, on your own knowledge. I'm not saying you shouldn't ask experts and maybe even business consultants in a certain area where you want more information. But the moment you outsource the strategy design, the moment you outsource accountability. And for an entrepreneur, that doesn't work. For a company, that never works, because that's the thing. When the plan goes south and the plan was designed by an outside company, people will always finger point and say, well, yeah, I told you in the beginning that doesn't work. Yeah, that's the plan by consultancy XYZ. So therefore, it's important that you yourself understand the importance of strategic acumen. The ability of thinking and acting strategically is your own, must be at your core when you lead a company or when you're an entrepreneur. You can't outsource it. You can insource knowledge, but you can't insource the accountability for your strategy. So when you have defined a strategy and designed it with and gave it your all, the likelihood that you follow through on it, and even if it's just 85% that you follow through on it, the likelihood that you are successful with that is so much higher than if you just buy a 400-page PowerPoint deck by a business consultancy that tell you what they think you should do.
Right. Because by outsourcing and relying on others education and information, you're giving up everything. You're giving up your power. You're giving up your soul. And you will never be happy, even if you were successful using somebody else's content.
Exactly.
You have to do it on your own. Otherwise, you're not going to feel as though that you reached the success whatever success you reached based on what your benchmarks were. You won't feel successful.
You would reach something that would probably feel good in the short term.
Right.
But you realize immediately that, first of all, it wasn't your work. You just executed the work of someone else. So that's management, not leadership. And if you really want to lead, you need to put in the work. You need to put in the hours and the learning that you need in order to be able to design and execute a business strategy. And everyone who's listening now and who's coming across those wonderful sounding promises, especially on social media, that if you just follow this step-by-step process, or if you just use this framework or this toolkit, then everything will be all right. No, it won't. That's the point. Success does not come overnight. It does not come by using someone else's business blueprint that might have worked for them, but they started somewhere else. They have different skills than you have. They are in a different industry, maybe even. That's not how it goes. Yeah, and success does come overnight. That's true sometimes, but it depends on how long the night is, if that makes sense.
Right. It's the dark of the moon in Norway. It's interesting because, we're each born with a set of patterns in our brain, and that's what we use unless we're fortunate enough to change the ones that don't work. And if you're following somebody else's plan and trying to incorporate it with your own innate patterns, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
As you said, temporarily anything works, but you can shave, your hair still grows back. So, you still have to do something from your source, from your soul, from your heart, from your mind, from your body. And if you alter that position, you're going to fail, and then you're going to wonder what you did wrong after you spent, $100,000 for somebody to come in and read you the same data that they read to 50 other companies.
Yeah, and it's good that you mentioned numbers here. The work that we're doing for large organizations is about 1/10 of the cost that they used to spend on big corporate consultancies.
Oh.
And the results that they get are way, way better. We get repeat business by these companies over years and years because they see that we empower and enable them to do the work for the long term, and not just bring in an expensive company that has great people. Don't get me wrong. They are awesome. They know their stuff. They work hard. But back to the point of accountability and long-term growth and building something that resonates with my own desired impact, this is something I need to build on my own.
Yeah, I totally understand that. It's like when people ask me, well, what do you do for a client? I said, I don't do anything for a client. The client,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's been my response for a long time. What are you going to do for me? Nothing. I'm going to teach you how to do for yourself. Mm. And there's a big difference there. They have to come from their own space, because then they'll resent you anyway. 6 months, 12 months down the road, if they fail or do not achieve what they thought they were going to achieve, they're going to blame you.
Exactly.
Not you, but the consultant, the outside.
And you're tapping into a topic here, Joanne, which is super important, which so many people always are confused by. The difference between mentoring, coaching, teaching, and consulting. They are distinctly different things. If I consult, I tell you what you should do because of the knowledge, the databases, the experience that I have. If I mentor you, it is similar. The difference is I have been there. I have lived through a certain step in my career, or I have built a certain business in a certain way. So I can mentor you to do the same. When it comes to training is all about skills, right? If I train in sports, for example, I repeatedly train a certain skill to get better and better and better. And if I coach someone, I help that person uncover and discover their full potential and do something with it based on their own wholeness, their own creativity, their own resourcefulness. I am not telling them what to do. And I think that's what many people just, they don't understand or don't try to understand the differences between those concepts. And if I hire a consultant, I need to expect something different than if I hire an executive coach. The moment I understand the distinctness in these concepts, the moment I will not be disappointed by what I get for my money. You know what I mean?
I understand, and I don't think that people know that there are differences between a mentor, yes, coaching, teaching, and consulting.
Yes.
I don't think they know that. They'll throw the words around and bandy the words around, but they don't understand the concept behind it.
And they use them interchangeably, those words.
Totally. I mentor, I consult. Well, that's two different things.
Yes.
Even though you may have experienced that in your life, you have to distinguish yourself so that you're allowing others to take responsibility for their own actions.
Yes.
And that includes success. And that also includes failure. So they listen to you, knock on wood, they listen to you, and they succeed. They don't listen to you, and they fail. But if they follow however you help them expose their strengths and weaknesses, because they go hand in hand. If you have one, the other is floating around nearby. Once you know your weaknesses or your shortcomings or something, you can adjust. You can repattern your brain. You can just do a repetitive thing over and over again, which is pretty much how people learn. Mm-hmm. It was like I was talking to someone about my grandson not getting any homework at the current school he's at. And he used to be at a charter school, and they gave them homework every night.
Yep.
And if they get homework every night, it's going into their heads and their body. Mm-hmm. But if they get no homework, they've forgotten everything at 4:00.
I know, yeah.
And they keep telling me, well, education has changed. I'm sorry, that's not right. You just have to, I think you need to be accountable. And when you're having, preteens not accountable, we're going to be left with the mess that we already have, except for you. So did you want to talk about this event in February 2022?
Oh, I would love to.
Please do.
We're curating a business summit, which is called Legacy, the premier strategic business event, which is a summit taking place online over 3 days with more than 30 speakers, in the sense that they are conversation guests. So they join me for conversations about three main topics. And this is where I want to link back to the beginning of our conversation, Joanne. What happens when you work on purpose, when you do something that resonates deeply with you, when you see how you create the impact that you want to create. The reason for this summit, so it's a not-for-profit summit. I don't make money with that summit. All money that we make with it will go to childhood cancer research and to environmental protection causes, because those are the two things that I'm deeply passionate about. But unfortunately, I studied business administration. I'm not a medical doctor. I can't contribute anything in the field of childhood cancer research. And the same is true when it comes to environmental protection. I'm not an engineer or someone who can put their knowledge to help, let's say, environmental protection agencies to achieve something.
Right.
So what can I do? I can use my business as a force for good and channel funds into those causes that are dear to my heart, right? So the summit has 3 days, and those 3 days have distinct topics. Day number 1 is all about how can I use my business as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, to do good, to do something that matters, to create an impact, socially or environmentally speaking. And we will talk to, for example, to Lasse Gustafsson, who is the CEO of Oceanwise, a huge environmental protection agency. And we will talk to other entrepreneurs that are furthering these causes. For example, I will talk to Dr. Alexander Beck, who is a leading researcher in the field of childhood brain cancer research. On day 2, we will talk about how do I actually create a business that is not sucking the life out of people or the environment? So how do I build a business that is a force for good rather than a source for misery? How do I grow my profits in an ethical way, right?
Right.
How do I create win-win rather than taking something, winning from someone else who's losing? And we will talk to some amazing entrepreneurs and also to people that are at the forefront of researching how things can be done in a better way. I will talk, for example, to Dr. Mark Esposito and to Professor Felix Oberholzer-Guy of Harvard Business School. And there are amazing people sharing their knowledge with everyone who would like to join for free. So you don't have to pay to join the summit. And on day 3, we will talk about a topic that is very close to what you are passionate about, Joanne, helping people to build a fulfilled life and a living legacy. And we will talk about some serious topics like how to avoid burnout, what to do when you are having suicidal thoughts as an entrepreneur, because you might have navigated yourself into a situation that you do not see a way out. And we will talk about health, mental health, physical health, and why it is important for us as entrepreneurs and business owners to stay healthy. We also have a family most of the time, right? I have a 22-month-old. If I step onto the scale and I see my body weight and my body fat, it scares the hell out of me, because if I continue with my eating habits and drinking habits, I will probably gain even more weight. And that means I will not be able to actively participate in the life of my son as he grows up. So all these things are connected, and that's what we talk about at the summit.
So how can people find out about the summit and the rest of what you do, Alex?
Ideally, the easiest way is on our website. It's alexthestrategist.com. You will find the information about the summit and everything around it right there on the landing page.
And on your on the page that your podcast currently lives on my website, you will see all the social media links to Alex Brueckmann, so you can find out where he is, when he is, how he is at any particular time.
I love that.
Whatever. So I want to thank you for being here today, Alex Brueckmann, because this has been an amazing episode. I hope everybody listens to this episode again with a yellow pad and a pen and make notes so that it goes directly to your brain. Because you can listen to this, but I could tell you right now, you've forgotten you've forgotten 80% of this. You might have a word here or there. So just re-listen to the podcast, make notes on a yellow pad before you transfer it to a document, and share this episode with your friends. So you have your directions. Go do it. Thank you, Alex, for being here today. This has been swell. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Joanne. And thank you for not only this episode, thank you for all the episodes. You've been around for a very long time with your podcast, and you're doing great, great work. Thanks so much. Thank you so much, Alex.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to AskJoanneVictoria.com to listen to more podcasts. Check out Joanne's coaching programs and get a free copy of her report, 5 Steps to Achieve Life-Work Harmony. That's AskJoanneVictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.